Hey guys, so there's been a lot of engagement on my latest Monday morning rant that I released a couple of days ago where I talked about the Wimbledon final. And I want to talk about one of the things that I said, which was that Djokovic is a very gracious loser and that he's a great sportsman and that he deserves the Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Award. I do mean that. And a lot of people in the comments are hung up on the fact that Djokovic broke his racket in the fifth set. And I'm going to talk about breaking rackets or emotional outbursts on the tennis court, because I by no means encourage anyone to have emotional outbursts or break rackets, or the worst case scenario is to put your own health in danger. And the worst thing of all is putting somebody else's health in danger when you have an emotional outburst. You should be disqualified if you throw your racket into the fence, if you shoot a ball into the stands. These are things that you just cannot do. Players most of the time do get disqualified for those actions. But look, I'm not only a coach, I also used to play. And when you say don't have an emotional outburst on the court, it's easier said than done. Sometimes in the heat of the battle, these emotional outbursts just come out of you. You can't control them. You maybe scream or maybe you throw your racket on the ground. Now, whether you can block yourself from doing this will depend on your personality. Some people can, but some people simply can't. So this is more of a personality trait than everything else. And you all know players who are hot-tempered. For example, John McEnroe, Goran Ivanišević, Novak Djokovic, Nick Kyrgios, or Alexander Bublik. These are just players that have a certain temperament. And then you have players like Borg, Sampras, Edberg, who are calm and collected and who don't let you in on their emotions. They can completely control themselves on the court. Now, I didn't say Federer. And I'm going to tell you why I didn't say Federer, because I don't think that being cool and calm is Federer's true personality on the court. The way he behaved on the court in juniors or early on, based on his own admissions, was very much like a Nick Kyrgios type of player, where he would throw rackets, he would misbehave very frequently, but he was able to change himself and become more of a Edberg. And he used that to his advantage, because misbehaving on the court didn't produce the best results. He didn't do that well when he first came on tour. It took him a few years to become the GOAT that we know him as. But here's the thing about Federer that a lot of people don't know, is that sometimes this true personality of his would seep through. There was instances, for example in Miami, where he absolutely demolished his racket, or even worse, you're not going to believe this, Federer hit a ball into the crowd at the French Open, where you can see in the video a guy in the stands was scared he was going to get hit. And this was late in Federer's career. Now, despite the fact that he did this, I'm sure he received the Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Award at the end of the year. And he definitely deserves these awards, but in my opinion, so does Djokovic. Because very similar to Federer early in Djokovic's career, there was some questionable antics on the court, like bouncing the ball 50 times. There was this famous interaction he had with Andy Roddick, where Andy Roddick accused him of faking injuries. There was often a scenario where Djokovic wouldn't finish a match, so all that is true. But Djokovic matured and has become a great ambassador for the sport of tennis, despite the fact that his temperament comes through in matches. This is just the way he is. And in my opinion, you cannot say that he's a unsportsmanlike player just because he screams at times or he breaks his racket. See, the thing is that players like Djokovic and John McEnroe, for example, will get angry, and then once they get angry, they play a lot better. Normal players will get angry and their game completely goes away. They end up losing the next few points, end up losing the match. But not in the case of Djokovic, and definitely not in the case of McEnroe, where they just simply let everything out, all the negative emotions, and the next point, they're right back in the game and playing at their best level. Now, of course, anytime you are putting somebody else's health in danger, you should get penalized for it. And Djokovic did at the US Open, where he accidentally hit the lines judge. This is something that you shouldn't do. And players are not doing this intentionally. For example, Denis Shapovalov hit an umpire in the face in Davis Cup. He was trying to hit the ball into the stands and accidentally hit the umpire. He didn't mean to do that, but you just can't do that. You got to control yourself so these things don't happen, and all the players know this. But I'm just trying to explain to you that in the heat of the battle, tennis is such a tough game. It's easy to sit here on the couch watching a Wimbledon match and say, this guy's behaving horribly. Hey, look, I play tennis at the lower levels, and I can tell you I've seen it all. I've seen guys demolish rackets. I've seen guys do horrible things on the court that I can't even mention in this video. And this is just a part of the game of tennis that brings out your emotions. And it's up to the player to be able to control these emotions and continue to play the best tennis. Or, if possible, block negative emotions and not let them ruin your game. Now, the reason why I think Novak Djokovic deserves the Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Award, because you guys don't understand what courage, what guts it takes to behave like Djokovic behaved after losing a match. Again, it's easy to sit here and say, oh, this is fake. But do you know what happens to you when you lose a match that you should have won? And he should have won that match because he won the first set 6-1. He won 15 tie breaks in a row. He lost that tie break where he was up and missed 2 easy backhands. In his mind, he knows he should have won that match. Of course, Carlos Alcaraz deserves the Wimbledon title. Of course, Carlos Alcaraz outplayed him in that 5th set. All that is true. The way I can explain it to you is if we take it to a level where there's no stakes. You're just playing for fun, okay? There's no money on the line. There's nobody watching. And you play a match where you win this first set 6-1. You have a 2nd set tiebreak where you have good chances to win the match. You end up losing this match. The thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to be so disappointed, so angry. The feeling that you're going to have is just get the heck out of there as quickly as possible. I've done this many times. Shake the opponent's hand, take my stuff, get in the car, and just leave. That is the emotions that everybody's feeling. Now, in the WTA Tour, this often is visible, where players barely shake the opponent's hand. This is just something that's human. It's normal. So the courage and the guts that it takes to have a warm, friendly embrace at the net and to say nice things about your opponent in a charismatic way, like Djokovic has been doing over and over again, is something that I've not seen from many players, and it's something that is extremely difficult to do in those circumstances. And remember, this is coming from somebody who's a Rafael Nadal fan. I wanted Rafa to beat Djokovic so badly. Rafa Nadal is my favorite player of all time. And every time that Rafa beat him in one of these classic matches, when I saw Djokovic embrace Rafa at the net in a warm way and say nice things about him during the trophy ceremony, I could not help myself to like Djokovic more and more, because that is the ultimate act of sportsmanship and definitely deserves the Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Award, which has been dominated by Nadal and Federer mostly, and last year Casper Ruud deservingly won that award. But in my opinion, the guy that deserves it the most is Novak Djokovic.